Hi everyone, and welcome to Creative Chelsea. Today I'm continuing my series where I'm showing some 3D projects that you can create with supplies from the February 2024 paper pumpkin kit called Sweet Springtime. I have already shared one. They were some cute little boxes, and so if you're interested in seeing those or my alternative card ideas, you can click on the playlist and I'll link it up here in the top right corner. Today we're going to be using this flower card base to create both of these cute boxes. And then we're also accenting it with some of the green envelope. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to start with this kind of larger, more rectangle box here. These are perfect for some little treats that you might share with somebody this Easter. My husband, when he saw this one, was like, what would they put in there? And I said, you could put in some little jelly beans or some small little candies that would be perfect to share with someone this season. So to begin, I'm going to go ahead and cut this card base along the score line. And I'm actually going to cut it just a little bit off the score line because I don't want to cut right along the score line. So it's actually going to be cut at 3 inches and 3/16. And then I'm going to just repeat that on the other one as well, just to remove that folded piece. So 3 inches and 3/16. And then it is about 6 1/4 inches high. And then let's go ahead and open up the envelope really quickly. You know that I like to just remove the folded edge on all sides. If you've been watching my alternatives, I feel like this gives us the nice clean edge that we need when we're creating our projects. So we're going to be using this, but you can also hold on to this. It's got some really pretty, very vanilla color to it that's perfect for projects. So let's first begin with one of these flower pieces. We're going to start by scoring it along the short edge at 2.5 inches. So make sure to use your scoring blade. And then along the long edge, we're going to start scoring at 1/4 inch. So that's 6 inches here. Then we're going to go to 1 inch on the right, which is 5 1/4 inches here on the left. Then we're going to move down to, let's see, we're going to need to do 2 1/4 inches from here. So we're going to go down to 3 inches. Okay, so that's 3 inches here on the left. If you're measuring from the right, it would be 3 1/4 inches. And then we're going to go down to 2 1/4 inches on the left, and from the right side, that would be 4 inches and score. And if you're interested in getting a template so that you can see all of those measurements, you can find that on my blog, and I'll link that below in the description. So for our envelope piece, we are going to need a piece that's 2 1/4 by 5 inches. And I think I'm going to just use this long side here. So go ahead and cut a piece that's 2 1/4 and then rotate to 5 inches. And I am going to score this at, let's start on the left side here. So that's going to start at 1 inch on the left. And then we're going to go to 1 13/16. So that would be 4, 8, 12. So it's going to be just 1/16 larger than 1 3/4. So go ahead and score. And then we're going to go down to 4 3/8. So 1, 2, 3, 4 3/8, and score. Okay. So you do need to be more delicate when you're scoring with this envelope paper. It just is a thinner, and so you don't want to push as hard. Okay, so from here we're going to go ahead, the score line here at the bottom, and then I have all of my vertical lines. And right here along this bottom section, I'm going to create some flaps. So I'm going to start on the left side and just cut a small angle, and then repeat that going down. And on each score line, I create a small triangle shape that stops at that horizontal score line near the top right there. And I just repeat that going all the way down. And then here on the very last score line, so this is the 1/4 inch size, I'm going to cut to finish off this flap, but then I'm going to rotate and cut, because this little piece here will be the flap that holds it together. So I'm going to angle the top up here, angle the bottom, and then remove that corner section. So from here, I'm going to go ahead and fold along all score lines and use my bone folder. So I'm going to add some glue to that. I'm going to use liquid glue, but you could use the tear and tape. And then you can fold it right in half, and it will connect with that fold there. And that's what holds or creates the box. Okay. So once that dries, you're going to go ahead and open it up, and then you're going to fold down these flaps. I like to start with the shorter end flaps, and then you can add one and then the other, and you can kind of decide which one. Let's start here. I'm going to add just a little bit of liquid glue. You could also use tear and tape to those inside flaps, and then the side that has this edge here. Do you see where we connected it? This is going to be my back. And so I'm going to put this flap down first, and then kind of press down with maybe my bone folder or take a pick tool. Make sure that the box stays at 90-degree angles and doesn't shift. So once that one is attached, we're actually going to add our top flap with the envelope piece to the bottom. So that is the smaller size. So here, and then we've got this large size. Do you see at one side is 1 inch, and that the other side's about 3/4 of an inch? It's that 3/4 of an inch that goes on, and it just kind of wraps along with that back piece. So you can go ahead and add that with some liquid glue to that back flap. Okay, so I have not put down the flap that's in the front yet. That's going to go on top. You want to make sure that the ends of this envelope piece are even with the box. And then you can go ahead and add that top, go over it. Okay, so it all looks like this. Take my bone folder, just going to press that glue down, make sure everything is sticking nicely. Okay, so then you can kind of see how that all comes together. And I just remembered I forgot to punch my holes. So I'm going to go ahead and do my best to do that now. So what I want is to create a closure here. And if you don't want to punch the holes, you can just add some adhesive, and then they would just have to open it like that. Okay, so that's how you open this box, is there's this little flap that comes across the top to close it and to open it. So I'm going to take my ruler and just a little pen or something, and I'm going to measure about 3/4 of an inch from the side here, and then come down maybe a 1/2 inch or so and make a little mark. And then do the same thing on this side. So I'm going to rotate my ruler, go to about 3/4 of an inch, and then come down about a 1/2 inch. And that's where I want to put my holes. So I have this big hole punch here, which might make it tricky to actually punch the holes in the box, but we'll see how it goes. So I'm just going to go ahead, come up here and punch the holes where I want them in the flap, which is kind of easy. And then from here I can make a little mark on my box. So I'll just use my pen. So everything's folded and connected, and then I'm just going to make a little mark in the center of each one of those holes. And then I can try to punch these out. I've got the paper stuck in there. Okay. So because this is so big, I might do it upside down. So I'm just kind of looking at where it's actually going to punch. That looks like it worked. Yeah. Okay, so that worked just fine. If it's off a little bit, that's okay. But it looks like it worked out great. Okay, so let's go ahead and put this together really quick. You're going to need some of the twine that comes in the kit, and I'm going to use about 10 inches, which is right about there. And I'm going to find the center point, and I'm going to add some glue actually with my tear and tape to that center line, and this is going to help it so that it stays inside the box. So right along that center line I'm going to take a little tear and tape and just place it right there, and then on the inside of the box I'm going to add that adhesive to the center between the two holes. Do you see that? And then you can string it through the box here. I'm not taking the paper off that tear and tape because I don't want it to be sticky on the other side. I just want it to hold this twine in place so that it doesn't come out, that it stays there even when it's open. And then you can fill this up with your treats and add this to each opening. And then you can close it up and tie it off. So make sure it's nice and tight. You don't want to tie a knot. A lot of times I tie knots when I'm working with twine and creating a bow, but then it would be hard to open. So just make a little bow there. Super cute. And we're going to get to decorating that in just a minute. I'll decorate both my boxes together, but you can see that I've just added a couple fun things to it here in the front. Let's go ahead and talk about this treat box. This is called a firecracker box, I think, and it's got some really fun things, and we're going to use the second half of this card base for that box. Now if you wanted, you could make 2 of these boxes from one card base, and you don't have to do the firecracker, or you could do 2 firecrackers, but you're going to be able to get 2 of either one of these from that card base, because now you have that second side. And you do still have a little bit of the envelope. It will have a little score line here in the middle, but you could cut this down to 2 1/4 inches, just like before, and it will remove the adhesive from that side, and then you're going to trim up each end to be that full 5 inches that you need for this box here. So you can either make 2 of these, or 1 of each from these supplies. I'm going to start with that full 3 1/4 inch, And then we're going to keep it the full length, which is 6 1/4 inches. So let's start with the short end. Each one of these sides is 3 1/4 inches in width. And so we're going to start with that. We will just take the left edge here and start measuring at 3 1/4. And you're going to score. And then move down another 3 1/4, which is 1 1/2, and score. And then move down another 3/4, which is 2 1/4, and score. And then you're going to finish that off at 3 inches and score. So you're going to have another 1/4 inch or so left to hold that box together. Now on each end, we're also going to do some different sections. So this first section is 3 1/4, and then we have 2 1/2-inch sections. So they're a little bit smaller. So let's just start here at 3 1/4 on the right. And then we'll do a 1/2 inch. So that takes us to 1 1/4. And then over here on this side, I need to start measuring. So we're at 5, and so we're going to do another 1/2 inch at 4 1/2. Okay. So we have 3 score lines, and let's go ahead and repeat that on the left side. And I'm just going to measure from the left because that might be the easiest. So I'm going to start at 3 1/4. Then I'm going to move down a 1/2 inch to 1 1/4. And then another 1/2 inch at 1 3/4. Okay, so let's go ahead and first score at all of the horizontal lines, or not score, but fold and burnish so that we get that nice fold line. Okay, so from here, we're going to take and fold along these other score lines on the ends. I'm just going to fold them all going the same direction for now. Okay, so they're all just being folded in. It's going to help us kind of identify where to cut. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to take the fold like this. So this is the horizontal fold. You're going to fold it across, and right here you're going to remove a diamond shape, okay, like a triangle. You want to kind of get an idea of where the midpoint is, and you don't want to cut past that midpoint. So let's just make some marks. So halfway, I'm just going to make a small little mark. So that's about midpoint there. And then midpoint here, and that's between each section. I'm trying to find kind of the midpoint. So I just have these tiny little marks that's going to show me where I should not go past. But we do want to get close to it, okay? So I've folded one end, and so I have my 2 score lines. I'm going to start at those score lines and just get close to that middle section. Then go to that other one and just cut out this triangle, okay? So do you see where that midsection is right there? And I'm maybe 1/8 of an inch away from it, okay? So then if I open it up, then I have my diamond. So I'm just gonna repeat that on this side. And you do want to watch where you're cutting. So you don't want to cut cut through this center here. It's really important that we keep that center, and you don't want it to be any bigger than 1/4 of an inch, okay? So then I go to the next section, fold it, and cut. You're cutting close to that midpoint, but you're not cutting through it, okay? And then this one here, Let me see. I'm just going to remove this. Okay, now you have to be really gentle with this section because it is delicate. You're cutting really close along this fold line that's already weak. Now here, I'm just going to go ahead and trim these because these are tabs. So you can just cut those off at a slight angle. Okay. So it's going to be open on that side. And then down here, you're going to want to cut another angle off this side here. Okay. So it's like this. And we're going to repeat that on the other one. Okay. And I did like having those little marks. So I'm just going to kind of eyeball. If you want things to be precise, you can pull out your measuring ruler and measure each midpoint, but I'm just eyeballing it. If that center area is too big, then you have a really big hole down here. See, there's like a little hole that's created. And so you want to make that hole as small as you can, but that hole is determined on how wide this area here is. And so you can't make it too small because then it will totally disappear. So you want to get pretty close to making it small enough, but not fragile so that it breaks. It's kind of a delicate spot to be in. Okay. All right. So this is what you need your template to look like. And we've angled our tab, and I'm going to angle the end here. Like I said, this is the tab that keeps it in that square shape. So let's go ahead and do that really quick. So I'm going to just take a little adhesive, put it on this tab here, and then I can fold this right in half in the middle square line, and that will connect to that tab. I'm going to repeat that on these end pieces. Fold that down, fold it in half. Okay, just like that. Okay, again, be super careful with these points here in the middle. And then you can see that when you open it up, you're going to want to fill this in. You're going to want to close one side first and then fill in the other side before you close it. So you're going to push in on those triangles at the base and bring them all together, and then you're going to tie around that point. Now, I want to save some of this twine for some other projects. So if you have more of this crumb cake twine, maybe in your own personal stash, then you can make this longer. But I'm going to use a total of 10 inches for this project, and I need 2. So I'm going to use 5 inches on each one, which is kind of small, okay? But I do have some tips that I want to share with you to make some cute bows at the bottom on each side. So I have 10 inches. I'm going to cut it in half at 5 inches each. And to keep this together, I am going to tie a knot. So find the front that you want. So this, I think, is my back. So this is the front. I always like to put the seam on the bottom. So that's what I was looking for, is that seam that's created by the flap attaching itself to that back piece. I consider that to be the back of my box. So then on the front, I'm going to go ahead and tie a knot. You want it to be tight, but not so tight that it breaks the cardstock, okay? So tie a knot just like that. And you can leave the ends loose like that if you want. It's very cute. And then you're going to fill this up with something sweet. You could even roll up some money. My kids sometimes like to have money in their Easter eggs. And so if you're a family that does that, you can do something like that. This would be fun for like a dollar bill or something. All right, so on the other side, once it's filled, you're going to go ahead and tie the second string, just like you did the first with the knot. And you want it to be nice and tight, but again, don't squeeze it. Once it stops, let it stop naturally, and then tie another. So we have these two ends now, and I really wanted a bow. So I came up with a fun little trick here so that you can get a bow on each end. So you're going to need your Take-A-Pick tool and some glue dots. And you're going to take a glue dot and put it at the bottom of your twine, okay? So it's kind of wrapped around the end of that twine, and you're just going to tuck it in kind of under the knot that you created. And just kind of keep tucking until the adhesive is hidden underneath that knot, not the rock. So something like that. And then you're going to repeat that on the other side. So take your end of your twine, pop your glue dot on there, remove the paper backing, and then on the other side, just kind of squeeze it in there, attach it to the ribbon or to the paper, and then you've got a cute little bow. You don't have any ends, but that's fine. And I think that's a nice look rather than just keeping them loose. It's totally up to you though. If you don't want to take the time to do this step, I think that's a cute box regardless. So I've got my glue dot, stick it to the end of my twine, and then just attach it under the knot onto the card base. I really hope you like this little trick here. I think it's really useful when you're wanting that cute little bow look. And just kind of pop that underneath. This one's having a hard time. There. Okay. Perfect, and your box is done. Now all we need to do is decorate. So to decorate these, I wanted to stamp them both with Happy Easter. So I'm going to ink it up with Early Espresso and stamp it on some scratch basic white cardstock. I'll do the other one over here too. And then I'll kind of trim it off of the cardstock. So take my paper trimmer and maybe cut, let's see, 1/2 inch. Let's go a little smaller than a 1/2 inch. Yeah, it's just slightly smaller than a 1/2 inch so that it sits right along the top edge of that Easter. And then I'll do the same thing here. I purposely stamped the Happy Easter very close to the edge of my cardstock so that I can just get a small little strip here. Okay, so for my kind of larger box, I just angled it. So I'm just going to take my paper snips and do some slight little angles next to the greeting. And then for my long firecracker box, I'm just going to create kind of a ribbon look here. So let's cut off this side here. So let's see, it's about 3.5 inches. And And on the one side, I'm going to just trim it to be a little banner on that side, and then repeat on the other side. And I want a open space on the right side for my flower. Okay, so that's kind of those two pieces, and let's go ahead and add them to my boxes. So for this one, I wanted a little stem. So I've got my daffodil die cut from the box, and I'm going to just add that right over that one. I'm going to cut it down just a little bit so I don't see the petals, and I am going to add it with a dimensional. So dimensional on there. This is exactly how I did my alternatives from my cards. Put that little one on there. Now I have this cute little flower that I can add. I'm going to add it with some regular glue just on the back of that die cut. Place it on the left side. And then whatever is hanging off on the bottom, I'm going to remove. Then I've got my greeting, and I'm going to pop that up with some dimensionals too. And add that near the base, just like that. And that box is all done. For my long firecracker box, I'm going to take my bone folder and just kind of swoop it into that banner shape that I'm looking for. And I'm going to add a little adhesive along the bottom of it. I don't need to worry about where it's not going to touch. And then on the top, just going to pop those two things down where I want them at kind of an angle here. So it might just take a minute for that adhesive to adhere. You could use a glue dot if you wanted. And then I'm going to pop up my daffodil with a dimensional and add that near my greeting. Just like that. And that one is all done. Well, I hope you enjoyed watching me create these fun boxes from the February 2024 Sweet Springtime Paper Pumpkin Kit. If you would like to see the template so that you can create these 3D projects, you can visit my blog, creativechelsea.com. Thanks so much for watching. Have a creative day. Bye.